just so that it'll help people. Good. Shana Tova, everybody. It is good to see you. We say at the new year, Lishana Tova Tikatevu. May you be inscribed for a good new year. Repeat each word after me. Lishana.
Leshana.
Tova.
Tova.
Tikatevu.
Tikatevu.
In a moment, we're going to sing those words as part of a song. It's good to see the people here. It's good to see all of you who are watching via the live stream. For me, this is a step up. Last year, to do the children's service at a completely empty sanctuary, talk about a downer, that was a downer. So it's good to see the vanguard of people here, but we're also very appreciative of all of you tuning in via the live stream. It's exciting that we're slowly starting to return to the normal as we knew it. And I'm delighted this year to have student cantor Iris Carlin with us. She's been with us during the year, and now she's going into her second year, but this is the first high holidays with us. And let me tell you, based on last night and this morning, it has been tremendous. It has been wonderful. And you may recognize Beth Robin, because if you've been here like for the last 20 years, okay, and the amazing thing is Beth hasn't changed. You know, it looks exactly the same at the piano the way she was a decade ago, 2 decades ago, 3 decades ago, for sure. So we're very, very glad that you are with us. And Michael Fishbein, he's sitting in the back in an Adas Emuno t-shirt. I'll have more to say about that. And he's broadcasting the service as he has almost every live stream service, so we want to thank him. He's the president who does it all in so many ways. Thank you to our ushers as well. Thank you for being here. We're going to be using our High Holiday Children's Prayer Book, and each year I mention it, there's a very unusual feature. This book goes from left to right, like an English book, and from right to left, like a Hebrew book. The older kids' service is in the back. We'll use a couple of those white pages, but mostly we're doing the younger kids' services like an English book from the gray pages in the front. But I'll tell you which page we are on if we're going to the front or to the back. So I hope you remember that Rosh Hashanah greeting, because we're going to open with that song, L'Shana Tova Tikatevu.
And we'll add to that a very special melody that you'll hear a lot over the high holidays that will repeat itself in other songs with other lyrics as well. But here, it's with the blessings. Let's practice that again. L'Shana Tova.
L'Shana Tova.
Tikatevu.
Tikatevu.
And I'm going to add another word. The fourth word is a bit more complicated because we need to seal it. So it's Vetechatemu.
Vetechatemu.
May you be sealed. So now, I'll introduce it and we'll try to sing it together. לשנה טובה תיכתבו, לשנה טובה תיכתבו, תיכתבו, the fourth word, ותכתבו. Everybody. לשנה טובה תיכתבו, לשנה טובה תיכתבו, תיכתבו ותכתבו. And if we're talking about Rosh Hashanah traditions, you all know that a big tradition is apples and honey, right? We have that's a must in every Rosh Hashanah.
There's always special food, and for a sweet new year, there's got to be apples and honey.
Yeah, there gotta be. If there's gotta be apples
How
and
do
honey.
you say apple in Hebrew?
One or all of them?
All of them.
All of them. Tapuchim.
Say that. Tapuchim.
Tapuchim.
How do you say honey?
Dvash.
Dvash. Say that.
Let's try together. Tapuchim udvash.
Tapuchim udvash.
And in this song, they're coming together, LeRosh Hashanah, and with the blessing of Shana Tova, may it be a good year, Shana Metuka, sweet year, and finalized with Shana Tova and Tapuchim udvash. Let's try. Tapuchim udvash LeRosh Hashanah. תפוחים ודבש לראש השנה, שנה טובה ומתוקה, שנה טובה ומתוקה, תפוחים ודבש לראש השנה. Beth, I think we'll do it one more time. Let's try until we know it. תפוחים ודבש לראש השנה, תפוחים ודבש לראש השנה, שנה טובה ומתוקה, שנה טובה ומתוקה, תפוחים ודבש לראש השנה.
Do you know why the cantor knows Hebrew so well?
Oh.
Because she's from Israel. She grew up in Israel. So Hebrew for her is like English for us. So we always know that we can hear the Israeli accent and the Israeli pronunciation of the Hebrew with the cantor. But now we open up our prayer book, and in English on page 4, an opening reading. And since there are people in the sanctuary this year, you can help me with the responsive reading. So when you see the italicized print, that's a cue for you to help me with the responsive reading. So on page 4, Rosh Hashanah is the birthday of the world. Today we say, thank you, God, for all the beauty you made. For blue skies, it sure is a blue sky day today, and starry nights and mountains in moonlight. Thank you, God, for the beauty you made. For birds singing in the sun and legs that let us run. Thank you, God, for light and for our parents who love us, for our teachers who help us, for friends who come over to play. We thank you, God, for hugs and hearts, for the warm feeling we feel each day. Most of all, we thank you for this new year. The prayer that we sing when we're happy to arrive at a special moment, a holiday, or a milestone, it's called the Shehechianu prayer on the next page, page 6. There it is, thanking God for keeping us alive, caring for us, and helping us to reach this new year.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. אמן.
the next page, page 7, is our Baruch Hu prayer, our call to worship. This is one of the prayers that we always sing as we stand up. So if you would please rise. While we remain standing, I think that you all know the Shema, because that's the affirmation of our faith on the next page, page 8. We sing it a little bit differently now at the high holidays.
Shema
Israel. Please be seated. This is one of the few times we're going to skip to the back because we're going to chant the V'ahavta, which always comes after the Shema in the full Hebrew. Our older kids and parents, you might be able to help us out. So in the back on the white pages, page 9 at the bottom, you see the full V'ahavta. V'ahavta את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם. We turn back to the gray pages, to page 10. There is the song of freedom that our ancestors sang so long ago during the Exodus, when they went from slavery to freedom. But we too, we cherish our freedom and we still sing the words of the Mi Chamocha. Mi Chamocha ba'elim Adonai, Mi Chamocha ne'etar ba'kodesh, No'od tehilot oseh On page 12 is the prayer called the Tefillah prayer, the Amidah prayer, which links our faith to the faith of our ancestors when we remember our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and Sarah, Rebecca, Leah, and Rachel. And we know that each of us has our own search for God, but we build it on our ancestors who came before us. Now, at the holiday time, now, you'll see at the bottom of the page, we add special words called Zochrenu Lechaim. And there's that key word, Chaim. You may know that word from when we lift a wine glass. What's the salute, the toast that we say? In our tradition, we say, L'chaim, to life. That word, Chaim, life, appears 4 times in one sentence because we're asking God to remember us unto life at this high holiday season, and we're examining ourselves and saying, what can we do to make our life the best it can be? So for the Tefillah Amidah prayer, page 12, please rise. On page 14, as we say this one line in Hebrew, like we do in religious school on Sunday mornings, if you would like to partake of the custom of rising up in holiness as we say the words Kadosh, then on the tip of your feet, you can do that while you're singing. Here we go. Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzevaot, Melo Kol Haaretz Kavodo. Holy, holy, holy is Adonai. The whole world is full of God's glory. Please be seated. I know that the Hebrew word that you're most familiar with is the word shalom, because shalom means hello, and it means goodbye, and it means peace, and it means wholeness, and it means reconciliation. Shalom is just a great, great Hebrew word. At the bottom of page 15 is one of our songs, not the only one by any means, but one of the songs we sing, Sim Shalom Tova Uvracha. Help us, God, to make a peaceful and good world.
Join me.
Sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, tova uvracha. Sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, tova uvracha. Now, if you can just for a moment to yourself, quietly, silently, think about what brings you shalom. What brings you peace and quiet and wholeness and happiness? Because now at the new year, it's a very good time to think about all the good things from the past year. You know, in 10 days on Yom Kippur, we'll have plenty of time to think about the not so good things from the past year, the mistakes we made. But let's hold off. Let's think about good things, shalom type of things. And we're going to just spend just a few moments thinking about shalom, because we know if there's no shalom on the inside, there's no shalom on the outside in our families. And then you'll see on page 17, you'll see another song of shalom, another famous song of shalom. Oh, say shalom, may God make peace from above and bring peace to us. So let's just be very quiet now and think about shalom for a second. Say shalom, say shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Say shalom, say shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Say shalom, say shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Say shalom, say shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Well, we're getting ready now for the service, for the reading, or at least the procession and the storytelling of the Torah, as well as singing one of the best-known high holiday prayers called the Avinu Malkeinu, our parent, our ruler. And I just want to tell you two things. The first is when we open the ark, you'll see that all the Torah scrolls are dressed in like special coverings for the high holidays. And what color would that be? Anybody know? Anybody know what color? Usually it's many, many colors. White is correct. You see that we're dressed in white, you're dressed in white as well, and that's very, very appropriate. Now, last year, we didn't do a hakafah, a procession with the Torah scroll, because there was nobody in the sanctuary. It was sad, but there is this year. And so I decided we're going to do a hakafah, a procession, with the smallest scroll. That's the Holocaust Scroll. As I told the adults this morning, I felt so badly. It was a whole year when that scroll did not come out of the ark. Well, we're ready to do that now, but I am going to ask that you not come out and actually touch the Torah scroll. So this is what you can do. You can feel the presence of the Torah scroll. You can go like this, toward the Torah. Just like that, if you would like to, instead of actually touching the Torah just from where you are. But that's a step up from last year, for sure. And I'm sure that the little Torah scroll is going to feel very, very good about that. So we're first going to open the ark in a moment for the Avinu Malkeinu, and then the Torah procession and the Torah story. We're on page 20, and we'll read responsively, once again, you with the italics. Avinu Malkeinu, you bring goodness to our world. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu, love us as our mothers and fathers love us. Avinu, love is always with us. Malkeinu, guide us as a wise leader would. Lead us to live by the Torah. Avinu Malkeinu, bless us with a good year. Avinu Malkeinu, give us health, keep us free, bring the world to peace. Avinu Malkeinu, show us kindness because we are your children. Be fair and loving and help us. Please rise. On page 21 together, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh v'nora Shemo. Please be seated. As you know, there's a very, very special custom at the new year to help awaken us called the blowing of the shofar. And that's going to happen in a little bit. But each year I have the opportunity to explain to you, since everybody forgets, why it is that we blow a ram's horn, a shofar, on Rosh Hashanah. Well, there's different explanations, to be truthful about it. But one explanation, based on an ancient midrash, a story about a story in the Bible, involves a man named Enoch. Enoch is mentioned in the book of Genesis, a descendant of Noah, and it was said that Enoch helped start this custom when God approached Enoch and said, Enoch, for the Jewish people who are about to be born with Abraham, we're going to need an announcing tool that really opens up and announces the new year in a big way, because people have to wake up physically, they need to wake up spiritually for the new year. I want you to go about the land, and I want you to find the best announcing tool that you can. Enoch was excited about this assignment and said, I'm on it, I'm going. And there he went. And he came back with what he thought was the most common and useful announcing tool. If you go around the world, you will see everywhere that there are a lot of rocks. Kind of everywhere you look, there are rocks. And God said to Enoch, according to the story, how is this an announcing tool? He said, well, if you take two rocks and you put them together, they will make a sound like this. God said, it's a nice sound. It's not necessarily a big enough sound. Rocks are everywhere. Can we find something maybe a little bit more special? And Enoch said, sure, no problem. Just hold on. So Enoch went around and, he found in the Native American tradition a special type of drum that sounded like this. And God responded, it's a beautiful instrument. It already belongs to one culture. Maybe you can find something special for the Jewish people to announce their new year. Enoch said, I'm still full of energy, no problem. I'm going to go about, and all of a sudden, he found a very nice instrument that made a beautiful sound, and it sounded like this. A tambourine or a timbrel. And God said, it's a wonderful instrument, but it's taken already. Miriam, when the Jewish people crossed from slavery to freedom, it says, it's going to say in my Torah, she played the tambourine with all the women. Well, Enoch was at this point a little bit disappointed, but then he found a great announcing tool with a very strong sound. And he said, I'm very confident. He said to himself, very confident about this announcing tool. Here it is. Yeah, right. God said, great noisemaker, but we're going to use it for a different holiday that's going to be coming up with a lot of fun, but it's taken. Can't use that as well. Enoch got into Latino culture and was trying maracas. Not good enough. But then Enoch was totally happy because he found an awesome announcing tool with a big sound. And he brought it in front of God, according to the story, and this is what it sounded like. A gong. God said, well, you really outdid yourself here. This is some announcing tool. It has such a strong sound, and we can't accept it. Why not? Said Enoch. God said, the gong is made from iron, or in this case brass, but iron can be used to make weapons of war. The new year is about shalom. It's about peace. We don't want iron, we don't want brass, because those can be turned into weapons of war. So I'd like to ask you one more time to see if you can find the right announcing tool for Rosh Hashanah. And Enoch had gone all around the world so many times. Think of the frequent flyer miles he accumulated. Finally, he came back and said, Holy One, the only thing left that I found was this ram's horn. We call it a shofar, said God in Hebrew. And you know what? I think this is going to be perfect. Why don't you see by blowing the shofar if you get a sound? And Enoch, like most people, stepped up, put the shofar in his mouth, and this is what it sounded like. Enoch said, I really can't do this. This is hard. It's much harder than it looks. And God said, it's true that 90%, 99% of the people cannot do it unless they have a special technique. But he said, if you practice and if you learn, I think this shofar can turn into the perfect announcing tool. And Enoch said, I will practice and I will try. And from that point on, the new year was announced with the shofar. So we're getting ready to do that, to actually announce the new year with a shofar, to get us in the spirit. Besides this story, there's a great song that we started singing here a few years ago called the Shofar Song. And we're going to sing that first, and it'll teach us about the 3 notes of the shofar.
Shofar blast that I'll introduce, and then I'll ask you to repeat and echo me, would be the Tekiah. So even though you have the masks, put your hands here. Let's try to do it all together. Tekiah. Excellent. I like to hear the shofar blast, sometimes slow and sometimes fast. I like to hear the shofar blast. Happy, happy, happy New Year. Let's just get together. Tekiah. And we'll add to that the biggest fear of all Bnei Mitzvah, where their voices are starting to break. That's the Shevarim. Let's try. Shevarim. And back to Tekiah. I like to hear the shofar blast, sometimes slow and sometimes fast. I like to hear the shofar blast. Happy, happy, happy New Year. Let's add one more. Now we'll have the Teruah. We need to count 9 times. Let's try together. Teruah. Now we'll do the Shevarim. Shevarim. And Tekiah. I like to hear the shofar blast, sometimes slow and sometimes fast. I like to hear the shofar blast. Happy, happy, happy New Year. Let's do them all. I'll start, you repeat. Tekiah. biggest blow ever. We're going to say, Tekiah Gedolah. You know what? I'll wait for you. Let's take a huge breath and do it together. Huge breath. Tekiah Gedolah. I like to hear the shofar blast, sometimes slow and sometimes fast. I like to hear the shofar blast. Happy, happy, happy New Year. Happy, happy, happy New Year. Let's finish it up. Happy, happy, happy New Year.
Our cantor's also an opera singer, if you didn't know that. Please rise for the shofar blessings, page 25.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kideshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lishmo kol shofar. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Page 26.
Tekiah. שברים. תרועה. תקיע. תקיע. שברים. תקיע.
On Rosh Hashanah, we thank God who remembers our people and cares for us. Baruch atah Adonai Zocher HaBrit.
Tekiah Gedolah.
We remain standing for the Aleinu, the short version on page 29, the full version which we will sing in the back on page 30 on the white pages. We open the ark one more time.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת תרועה יוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא עשה בהם שעות ההנאה, שלא
Now we recite the mourner's Kaddish. We think about those of our loved ones who are no longer with us. We think about those who may not have Kaddish to say for themselves. The Kaddish prayer in memory of our departed is on page 30, on the gray pages. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma tivrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'hayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei t'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach le'olam olamei almaya. Yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh v'yittadar v'yittaleh v'yittalal shemei t'kudesha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Please be seated. And before we conclude our service, I just have a few greetings and announcements on behalf of our president and the Board of Trustees of Congregation Adas Emuno. I wanted to share with you and with the people listening what I talked about this morning, and that is in October, we celebrate as a congregation our 150th anniversary, our sesquicentennial, and at the same time our jubilee, 50 years here in Leonia. We're a little congregation. We've survived through the pandemic of 1917-18, the pandemic now, the Great Depression, the Great Recession, and we're looking forward to a whole bunch of little celebrations. And then maybe, God willing, a year from now, as we end the anniversary year, maybe we can do a big gala as well. So keep on the lookout. But I showed members of the congregation some of the special things that are still with us. And I want to show you the Hanukkah menorah. This menorah, if you read, was dedicated on December 23rd, 1900. So this is quite an old Hanukkah menorah. But even older than that, for the sake of the microphone, I'll come back here. This is a yad. This is a Torah pointer. And if you read it, it says that it was dedicated to the temple on April 15th, 1883. 1883. We keep it in the ark. We'll use to read it in the Torah on Yom Kippur. That was the year that a synagogue was actually erected in Hoboken. The building still stands, not as a synagogue, but it still stands as one of the oldest synagogue buildings in the state of New Jersey. And even earlier in 1871, that's when the congregation began. 100 years in Hoboken, 50 years in Leonia. I want to show you one other thing. A number of years ago, I was rummaging through some of the books in the vestry room, and I found a confirmation certificate that evidently had been left here or lost here. Here it is, a confirmation certificate from May 27th, 1917. And the name of the person was Esther Cohen. That's a nice Jewish name. And it even has the signature of the rabbi, the president, and the secretary, and the motto. Evidently, each confirmation student picked a verse for their essay like we still do, and hers was, "I will fear no evil." So I wanted to show you all these special things, connected to our anniversary celebration. Few other announcements. In 10 days, on Yom Kippur, we will gather here once again for our Yom Kippur Children's Service. But right after this service, if you would like to meet us at Overpeck Park, we're going to have the ceremony of Tashlik down there at 3:30, where you take breadcrumbs or pebbles and throw them into the river. We used to do this at the Hudson River, but then we came up with the idea. We have Overpeck Creek right here, and some people walk there, some people drive there. Last year, it was the only chance we had to see each other in person. We had a lot of people down there, down by the riverside. And so you're welcome for Tashlik there. This Shabbat service on Friday night is Shabbat Shuvah, the Sabbath of Return. We're also marking this Sabbath, the 20th anniversary of 9/11, through our music and through our words. And then Sunday, this Sunday, and the weather is looking very good, is the opening day of in-person religious school for the congregation. It's going to be outside to a large extent as weather permits. It's also our rescheduled, because of a hurricane, our rescheduled gathering in the garden. So it's like an open house, and there's going to be lots of snacks and a song fest of garden songs by the cantor. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be outside, right behind us, in between the school and the temple. And so please come by just to enjoy that. If you're in religious school, you'll get time to eat some of the snacks as well. And if you know families that would like to join us. At the same time, know that our tot program is resuming as well. Carrie is in charge of that. She has a schedule of tot programming you can take with you, or you can request it to be emailed to people. If you know eligible tots for the tot program, it's a lot of fun. I stopped by, so I know that personally. And they met quite a bit in our garden last year for a good part of the year. So we're looking forward to the tot program, the start of religious school. We're hoping to kickstart youth group as a supplement to our confirmation program. So all this stuff is happening. Social action programs are happening as well. Tell your friends about Congregation Adas Emuno, 150 years old. October 22nd is the actual date. That happens to be a Shabbat evening. Right here, we're going to dedicate a new handmade Torah cover in honor. That'll be the first event for our 150th anniversary. I think those are the key things. Once again, thank you to all the people who helped make the high holidays possible. We'll end our service as we began by wishing each other in song, L'Shana Tova Tikatev.
It's not a test to see if you learned something. I'll repeat the words. L'Shana Tova Tikatevu Ve'techatemu.
Shana Tova Tikatevu, L'Shana Tova Tikatevu, Tikatevu, Ve'techatemu. To everybody, Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
And see you by the river.
See you tomorrow.